Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Fearless Generations with Terry Sayer and Kelly Fox.
Hello and welcome to Fearless Generations, 12 Steps to Freedom. This is Kelly Fox. We are talking Step 8, Possibilities. And tonight we are talking about detaching from the how. So let's get going. Please welcome my beautiful co-host, Terry Sayer. How are you doing tonight, Terry? Terry? I can't hear you, Terry. So if you can hear me, maybe hang up and come back in, and we'll see if that works. All right, we will wait for her to come back. But we're going to be talking about detaching from the how. Our guest coach tonight was unable to come, so it's just going to be Terry and I, and I'm excited to get this conversation going. Let's
can you hear me?
If we can hear her. Yay! I can hear you now. So, Terry,
good.
How's it going?
Yeah. It's going well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, especially now that I can hear your voice.
Yeah, I don't know why you couldn't hear me. You thought you were going to do the show by yourself, huh?
No, never. But so we've been talking about possibilities. I love this month. I think we had a great show last week with Kat, and I think that I've already had possibilities starting to come forward. So I'm excited. And I think that detaching from how they're going to come forward or how they are going to happen or how is it all going to work out is one of those things that you can't be hung up on when you are taking up, when you're stepping forward into possibilities. And so I think tonight's discussion is really needed and it's going to be a great one.
I'm sure.
So, Terry, what do you think about detaching from the how?
Well, I know we talked a lot about detaching from the outcome, which is kind of the first step of being in the present. I guess for me, in order to attach from the how, you have to be in a state where you have faith, I think, that you're in a flow, that you're just kind of with yourself, with your faith, with your willingness to step out, your willingness to ask for help, your willingness to take a risk. And, I think it has a lot to do with willingness if we're going to detach from the how, because especially if we're conditioned by our life, that we've lived thus far, we're conditioned to have a plan and to take steps, specific steps without being open to possibilities, that can really stop us from an awareness when a possibility does show up for us, something that we hadn't anticipated, something that was meant for us to have. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of an interesting concept, don't you think, to be detached from the how?
Yeah, I mean, I think that detaching from the how leaves you open for it to organically evolve. If you're looking at it where it has to go a specific way and specific things have to happen, then you're narrowing down how something can happen or how something can unfold and develop and evolve and all of those other words that I could think of. When there's not a specific how it's going to happen, think then it can surprise you on how it's going to come together. I know when I get an idea about something that I want to happen, I don't always all of a sudden know how I'm going to get there or how I'm going to make it happen. I just take it one step at a time. And I think that that's kind of the problem solver in me. But, you know, we've had lots of situations come up in our family, and we figure it out. We don't know exactly how we're going to make it work, but we make it work. So I think if I was really attached to it only working out one way, or working out meant only one you know, scenario, then it would be a lot harder to problem solve, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think possibilities keeps you open to something working out multiple different kinds of ways. You know, there's not just one way to, that's kind of gross though, but what came into my head was that there's more than one way to skin a cat. I don't know where that expression came from, but
I'm sure you could find out if you Googled it.
I probably could. But, you know, there's multiple ways to do something. And I think that that's also something that's really apparent in our business, because the way that you look at a situation or a problem is very different from the way that I do. And so as we work together, we can kind of bring together both sides of us and really give a well-rounded and different experience for people. And so I think that that's one of the things that's really great about us. And when we started working together, there was no big picture necessarily in front of us. You know, we were just like, hey, you want to do a podcast? Okay, let's do a podcast. And that's what started it all. And then when it was like, oh, hey, you want to do workshops together? Okay, then we addressed that, you know, and how was that going to work, and how are we going to continue to build this business together? And we took it one step at a time. There wasn't a, you know, specific step-by-step process necessarily that we took. It was just one step after the other, and we were willing to take it together. And I think that any kind of goal that you might have, or important relationship or dream, it's all about just being willing to take that next step that's in front of you, and being open to where that next step takes you.
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking I'm in my head right now, thinking about what's the difference between detaching from an outcome and detaching from the how. Because I see detaching from an outcome as being open to a variety of paths. You know, there's not just one way to get there or to do it. And then if I detach from the how, that would be, explain to me what the difference is there.
Well, I see the outcome as in the final result. So,
okay.
And the how as the way that you get to that final result. I think that there are some outcomes that you work towards, you know, that are kind of the expected outcome. You know, like you get an A on a test, or you pass a quiz, or, you know, some goal like that, where the outcome is specific, I guess. But I think that there's a lot of times when you go for something and the results are so much bigger than the outcome that you expected, or the outcome is completely different than what you expected. And that's that's detaching from the outcome, is being open to it being different in any way than what your original vision was.
Yeah, I think, to me, it makes a lot of sense to let go of the outcome, because then you're really open to possibilities. And I guess letting go of the how is just having multiple ways to interact with your thoughts and your feelings, and not just, even thinking there's only one way. I don't know. It just kind of seems a little bit redundant to me that they're kind of the same things, but I don't think they are. So maybe they're similar, but not similar.
Well, I think that one leads to the other. When you're baking, there's lots of things that can go wrong in the process, right? You put salt instead of sugar, or you put too much milk and you can't really recover from too much milk. Or you see a recipe and you're like, instead of walnuts, I'm going to add pecans, or instead of semi-sweet chocolate, I'm going to put white chocolate, right? Like we can do something exactly step by step, which is usually a good idea in baking to get the outcome of the cookie or the cake or whatever it might be. But we also can be open to the process being different and playing up with it, and I think that that's one of the things that I love about Pinterest is because you can go on and find so many different recipes to make the same thing. And it's because people have played with those steps. They've played with the how, and yet the same result, in a way, the same outcome is the same. You still get a chocolate chip cookie, right? But how you got there, completely different. And it can be completely different ingredients, or it can be a completely different process, and yet the result is a chocolate chip cookie. So the outcome is the same, but in the sense of not being attached to the outcome, being okay with if it's a crispy chocolate chip cookie or an ooey gooey chocolate chip cookie, or what kind of chocolate chip cookie it is. I don't know if my baking analogy is helping, but I think that being open to possibilities in every aspect of the process is good. We don't have to do A, B, C, D, E to have the outcome that we want, nor is it guaranteed that if we do A, B, C, D, E, we will get the outcome that we want. And so it's releasing the expectation throughout the whole process and being open to the possibilities, open to doing A, D, B, E, C, and it working out just as lovely. And I think that's why there's so many different business coaches and so many different, people out there saying, advertising the same results with different steps on how to get there. And so you go and you find the business coach that has the steps that make sense to you. And, the results are either what we're promised or something different. But you fully invest in following the process that aligns with you.
Yeah, I guess I can see that it's mainly letting go, right? I mean, if you tend to be in your head, and I mean, I've heard you say before on our sessions that you're a planner. To me, planning is how you're going to do something, so it's not releasing the plan. it's being open to the plan changing.
Flexibility.
Yeah. So I mean, I still think I want a list of things that I'm going to do. That's the way I process.
Yeah.
But something can come up in the day that list doesn't get done, or something adjusts, or something happens, and I don't have to be attached to that list getting done in a certain priority on that day. I could be open to things that may come up that are really enriching, or things that come up that are urgent, that need my attention at that moment. Being willing to be open to change.
Yeah. I think so. And I think that's really what being fearless is.
Mhm.
Being open and willing to change.
Mhm. Yeah,
because
I just had to
change is
come to the
scary.
word. Well, yeah,
What?
it's change. I needed to come to that realization that's what I was talking about, was being willing to change. Maybe the word to some people is flexible. Maybe the word to some people is releasing the how. But for me, change is the word that makes sense, because that's what I help people do in my one-on-one coaching business, is coach for change, and helping people navigate change with proactive behaviors and the mindset of growth. And so that's making sense to me, letting go of the how. That just wasn't making sense to me, releasing the how. And now I'm seeing it's just another way of saying I'm willing to change based upon the circumstances, based upon the time of day, based upon my needs, based upon the needs of others, that I'm willing to change. So I don't have to have the how delineated to a point where I'm not flexible. Because I have friends that are like that. If today is laundry day, that's what I'm doing today. I'm not doing anything else. I am, committed to the how for the day. This is what I'm doing today, and I'm not going to release any of it, even if it means they miss an opportunity to do something with a friend, or someone gets, needs some assistance. So, the willingness to let go of structure, maybe, to let go of inflexible structure and be open to change, changing what you do, changing what you think, changing what you say, how you act, based upon whatever the possibility that shows itself to you.
Yeah. I love that this is our 10th time doing this subtopic in this step, and it's still opening up and deepening for you. And I think that's why we can do these steps and these topics over and over and over again, because we come to them each time as a different person. We see them differently. We hear them differently. We experience them differently. And we take from them what we need in that moment to move forward. And I think that that is one of the great things about these steps.
Yeah, I think that's what is really exciting to me about doing our retreat. We'll be doing our retreat in September, and we'll be covering these 12 steps in a 3-day workshop. And I'm just really, we haven't done the workshop live for years, since before the pandemic. And I'm just really excited, because I know that every time we do our podcast, every time we do our year-long program, every time we talk about the 12 steps, when I do Terry Talks, it's different because I'm different. And so I'm excited to see how deep we can go in those 3 days of the workshop itself, and bring into it, greater insights and greater examples to help the people that are attending to go deeper more quickly, And I'm excited about that because it won't be the same. It will be different. Even though we have a structure and we have a template for the workshop, with activities, I can just see us being more flexible and looking at the possibilities of presenting this material in a, maybe in a more in-depth way, depending on the participants, meeting their needs. So I'm really excited about that. I hope that our listeners have taken a chance to go to our website and checked out the retreat, because it's really going to be an opportunity to build upon the things we've been talking about in this podcast and build upon the things we talk in Terry Talks. And, just every time that we talk about these 12 steps of freedom, we get a better understanding of how they meet our needs. And then, that gives us that opportunity to help other people discover how living these steps and embracing them and, getting them in your bones, like Rhonda says, is a transformational opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that how we have come to these 12 steps has been very different. We started with the podcast, then we did workshops, then we did the program, and it's always evolving. And there's not this, well, this is how we need to approach it. For us, we show up, we know what we know, we share what we know, we're open to receive. And I think that our grasp and our knowledge of the 12 steps has grown because of that, because we haven't been attached to any specific way of it happening. We've just been willing to take one more step into sharing these 12 steps. We've been willing to raise our hand and say yes. We've been willing to step out of our comfort zone and create this retreat. We've been willing to, put together our group program and to further our own knowledge and understanding around these 12 steps. And I think that is another thing that makes us unique, is that we are constantly doing the work as well. And this shows that, we're constantly being willing as well, willing ourselves to step out of our comfort zones, willing ourselves to be beginners, willing ourselves to, take a risk and to be, continual learners of the things that we teach, our own material or Rhonda's material, and allowing ourselves to really deepen it and personalize it and continue to share it at a different level. We keep going deeper.
That's really the kind of like the message that Rhonda has given us as coaches in Fearless Living, is that, she provided the inspiration and the wisdom to develop the program, and then we make it our own, using that in our own lives, so that we have the capacity then to help others see how it can be used in their lives, because we've done the work. And I think that's really shows her integrity in providing us with those great understandings, and then saying, go for it, create what works for you. And I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that the reason why I love the month of possibilities is because I truly do believe that as I have my eyes, ears, and heart open, they will be presented. And, going back to what you were talking about, faith, you could say I have faith in that. Or I trust, because I feel like faith and trust are very close for me. And so I I have faith in the steps and in the tools in Fearless Living, because I have been practicing it for 19 years, and I know how much I've grown, and I see the difference in where I am now and where I was then, and I like myself a whole lot more, and my relationships are much more honest and meaningful, because I'm showing up and I'm being myself. And I think that is all because I am willing to step into possibilities, and it doesn't have to look a certain way, doesn't have to necessarily feel a certain way. I just need to know or have faith or trust that it is in alignment for me, and not worry about, well, I don't know this or I don't know that, but just be willing to take that step.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts, Terry?
No, I just think that our discussion tonight has been another piece of evidence that this is a personalized journey. And each of us, strategies and the tools of these 12 steps, and apply them to wherever we are in our lives, whatever we're experiencing in the moment. Because, I've taken back to almost to the beginning in some of the steps because of my experience of, my near-death experience. And, I'm working again, using those steps to try to get to, to get to where I'm living in the moment and not letting fear paralyze me to moving forward. So it's like, okay, opportunities, possibilities, not attaching to an outcome, not attaching to the how, all of these. And then you go back to awareness, willingness, connection, compassion, surrender, and you start seeing how these steps work together synergistically to assist you, wherever you are. Absolutely. Because it's not like we're on this trajectory that's always going up, We have these moments where things change, and we have to navigate change again and use the strategies and move up, in our to navigate change. So, I think that's kind of what I got out of our conversation tonight, that there's an ebb and a flow, and there's a support in these 12 steps to help us do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that it's that always being open, being present, like we talked about, a couple months ago, being present and surrendering to the possibility of change. Yeah. I think a lot of people run from or avoid change, and yet it's most likely what they need the most to support them in really living the life that they want to live. So we want to remind you that these 12 steps that we love so much were created by Rhonda Britton, the CEO and founder of the Fearless Living Institute. If you would like to know more about Fearless Living, go check it out at fearlessliving.org. You can find out everything about Terry and I at fearlessgenerations.org. We'd love for you to go over there and check out. You can see all of the past 10 seasons of the podcast if you want to catch up. But you can also see about our retreat that Terry was talking about and get more information there and set up a time to talk to me about it. I would love to. Excuse me. We want to thank you for being here with us. Please check us out on your social media. We are under Fearless Generations. And also, remember to come back next week. We are going to have a great guest coach with us, and we can't wait to have you hear from them. So until next time, everybody, be fearless.
Be fearless. Good night.